So, hey everybody, I want to welcome all of my guests today. Everyone here has been a renter or someone who has purchased a neurooptimal neurofeedback system. Thank you guys again for being here. We are from California to Georgia to Colorado and maybe Washington, I think, if I remember right. So we are all across the country and lots of different time zones and coordinating, but we did it pretty easily, I think. It worked out really well to get everybody together here. So I wanted to start by hearing from everybody, how did you hear about neurofeedback and what made you decide or start even looking for something like neurofeedback? And we can start with Laura up in the corner there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have been trying to go towards natural stuff for everything lately. My dad was diagnosed with a lot of stuff, actually, myasthenia gravis and a whole bunch of other things along with that, and we're not sure what is actually there. But so we've been, doing natural stuff, and we were watching one of the like webinars, I guess, the one that they do about brains, and I really keyed in on when someone said they had tried neurofeedback and it gave them their life back. And I was like, what is this? And so I found someone here local that did it. And so I went to them for a couple times, and I really felt, I took my two boys as well. I have a 12-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they both really loved it. And so my 12-year-old said it made him feel better and calmer, and he was able to sleep better. And so I reached out and looked for a way to do it at home so that we didn't, because nowhere here did it. So we had to drive an hour to do it and then an hour session. So that was a good 3-hour chunk out of our day. And I was starting to have to take my kid out of school, and that wasn't okay. So we found Miriam, and we were able to, we just rented the machine. And I think we added it up last night. After a month and a half, we were able to do over 80 sessions between me and my two boys and my husband. So that was much more cost effective. And we all, my littlest is sleeping a lot better. He was waking up through the night, like 3 or 4 times a night, which is not usual for a 4-year-old. And yeah, so we just all feel like we can handle our daily stresses. And it's something that I wanted to try before I introduced it to my parents to see if they would be interested in doing it.
Mm-hmm. And have you introduced it to them yet?
I've told them about it.
Okay.
I think that they research things a lot, so they would research it some more. Cost is kind of an issue with them, but yeah, it's definitely something. I'm actually headed to see them on a trip today, so I'm going to have a nice in-depth conversation with them.
Nice. Yeah, that's been something that's been really fun for me, is having my parents do sessions.
Yeah.
My dad, I think after his second session, he didn't feel real well for a day or two, but then after that, he felt better than he'd felt in a long time. It's feels good to be able to give your parents something like that.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. That's actually my husband. The first session he did, he got like really angry after. And just like shaking mad, and he's like, I don't know what's wrong. I was like, let's do another session and see if that helps. And so we did, and he was willing to, thank goodness.
Yeah.
He's not really open to all this stuff, so I was glad that he was willing to try it, and it helped him. So he did the least sessions out of all of us, but he at least got 15. So
good. Yeah, that's something. So actually, before we talk to other folks, that is something that I think people struggle with who call. They say, well, I got to talk to my husband about it. And there's can be difficulty when, somebody's not necessarily open or whatever. My husband feels the same way.
Yeah.
He likes the results for the rest of us. But anyway, so can you speak to that? Was that a difficult thing for you? Yeah.
I go all out on a lot of stuff, and some of it doesn't end up panning out. But he's a trooper, and like I said, he usually is just like, okay, you do it, you go do your thing. And I went to someone else. I think I went like 4 or 5 times. And once I got it here at the house and he didn't have to go anywhere, then he just had to sit somewhere for 30 minutes. He was more willing to do it. And I think I think he felt some difference. He probably won't admit it, but the fact that he let me continue to do it speaks to the fact that, yes, there's something going on that he was okay with.
Yeah, and I think that happens when another family member notices a shift in you, even if you don't.
Right.
So that's definitely a thing. Yeah, and you're also sort of speaking to how easy it is to use, and it sounds like it was a helpful piece of getting him on board.
Yes, and actually towards the end, I was like, I'm so busy. Can you please hook up one of the boys? And he was like, okay, no problem. Like, so he actually really got involved more than just me hooking him up. He was able to help with the boys and get them hooked up. And our biggest problem was finding the point up at the top of the head, especially for my 4-year-old. And so I remember my 4-year-old, I'd be like, Matt, can you please come help me? Which is my husband's name. And so my 4-year-old, every time at the beginning when I'd be looking for a thing, he's like, do you need Matt to come help you? I'm like, so yeah, he actually was more involved than, now that I'm talking about it, than I realized. So yeah. He's definitely, it worked out.
Good. And now you're leaving for a family trip, and hopefully it'll be a lovely time.
Yes.
All right. Who else wants to talk?
Nicolas. Okay, let's start with Nicolas.
That's right. I forgot we were going to start with Nicolas. I forgot about that. Sorry.
Talk to her.
Yeah, so just tell me, so you and I have spoken before, and you mentioned, you talked about how you kind of felt before neurofeedback and how you started after neurofeedback.
So before, I was thinking about what if this happens? What if that happens? What if? And I was the what if machine.
You worried a lot.
So when my mother was getting to neurofeedback, I was proud. Then when later on when I do it, like let's say the 15th session, I guess, something session, I started to feel a shift. Yep. And so I became more calmer because I'm not thinking about what if, and I'm not the what if machine anymore. So I guess the neurofeedback, it's good.
Good. I'm glad you had such a good experience. When we talked before, you said something like you were having a hard time finding the words. And I think you said you thought it might be joy. Do you remember that? I think you said you thought the word you were feeling was joy.
No.
You don't remember that?
I said I felt more calmer.
Yes, that's what you said today. What we were talking about a month ago. I don't know if you remember. And
a month ago, how did you feel?
Joyful.
Say it louder.
I'm joyful.
Yeah.
Because I'm not thinking about what if, well, they're bad what ifs. Okay, like what if this happens?
And you told me that you felt like a
shift.
Yes, a chip. And what else? He told me that he, like before, was like living in a dark
hole of misery.
Yeah, it's very descriptive.
That was the way he was feeling before. I had no clue that was his feeling.
Yeah.
And then after that, he was happy, with joy and happy. And he is still happy. And he is still not thinking about what if. And that generates him, yes, a kind of anxiety generate, or crying, panic attacks, and all gone.
Okay. Oh. It's nice when your kiddos are feeling better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
He's telling me, what about Rita, my daughter?
Okay.
She said that she feel happier.
Okay.
And she's feel better than before. And she told me, I think that I have the chip. So she had the chip and she had changes. She doesn't have the problem that Nicola has, but she felt something.
And how old is she, Dora?
She's 7.
She's 7. Okay, good. Now, you've told me about some of the shifts that you have had, but also you said with your father.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Let me tell you, I start feeling something about the 28 treatment, 27, 28 treatment. At the same time, my friend started. She had it about the 24 treatment, not treatment, training, the number 24. She had been diagnosed with OCD before, my friend.
She what? I don't know. Say it again.
Okay, my friend was diagnosed with OCD, so she felt much better. She thought that was a miracle, and when I start feeling something, I said, something happened here. She said yes, and the same thing's happening to me. So she feels so relaxed now. She went through a divorce. She's feeling much better now. The mother saw the change, and the same thing with me. I'm sleeping better, more calm. I don't feel anxious about having a meeting. A little bit, I still having a little bit, but changed life. And for my daddy, after the number 7, and my father is 86 years old, and he said that he feels like a 15 years old person with a lot of energy. I start having more energy. I'm more focused too. He was so focused, and you can see how he was doing things and like a machine. So yeah.
How old is he again?
86.
Wow. Okay.
86 years old. Okay.
So let me throw out there, just for clarity, you were talking about your friend with OCD, that Neuroptimal does not diagnose or cure any disease or condition.
Yeah.
What it can do is help living with different conditions much easier, much better. So it would help someone with whatever condition with more resilience to stress and more calm, more focus, things like what you're talking about there.
Yeah. That's.
And thanks to Nicholas, who just left.
He left. Yeah.
Cool. All right. What about you, Nikki?
I am very thankful for that machine, and I'm getting ready. I'm going to be home for a while, so I'm going to get ready to rent it again. Like I said before, when I was in Colorado, I had brain mapping done. I lost my husband 4.5 years ago, and just was not doing well back in November. And so I came across this option. So, because my options were becoming very limited, so where everything was pointing to some form of a drug to help me get through my day. So when I started researching and found that one company and went back and did work through all of that, and then they showed me that in that brain mapping that I had done, that my husband's my brain treated my husband's death like a concussion. And so my brain was only operating in the high beta. So it was only operating on the right side. And I was always in fight or flight mode. So learning all of this and then finding a way to, finding something to help me, help myself. Mm-hmm. So, decreasing my stress, improving my focus, showing me that, even if it was for only an hour or a couple of hours during the day, that I could have moments of calmness and be able to get work done and focus and not have a squirrel brain. Mm-hmm. it is amazing. And to be able to do it without drugs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just has even commented that, how much it has changed how I look at and view things differently from where I was at before in November.
Can you speak to that a little bit? Because that's not, people often will come to neurofeedback because there's some condition that they're working on. One of the things people don't always know is that how much it helps with perspective. Can you speak to that a little bit more, Nikki?
What do you mean when you're talking about perspective? What?
Well, you were talking about seeing the world differently.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you know how Nicholas said that he lived in a dark place and nobody knew it? That is where I lived. And so you put on this, your body and brain are amazing because you put on this veil of everything is fine because you're wondering what's going on the inside. And with the neurooptomy, it broke through that. And so it gave you this different perspective, this different outlook on life where things were sunny, things, were easier to simple things like the dog barking or, just those little things that just seem to amplify. And when there's just this tiny little issue of a dog barking, where for me, it would send me over the edge. And so when you had those sessions, it just opened up a different outlook on life, it gave me hope.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me hope. It does. It's not something I can travel with, and I do travel. That's the only down part about it. But I am learning that, okay, well, I've got 30 days now that I can get the machine again, and I can really, amp up what I'm going to do and work on that for 30 days. And then I can send the machine back. And also too, it brings up things that you don't realize that you have going on, that you have that you've locked away or set back. And that anger thing, that is amazing of what it can pull out, because it truly does do that. It'll either make you cry like a baby, or it will make you so mad, or it relieves a lot of tension and stress and gives you that sleep, because I don't sleep. So it does give you that as well. So it just helps ease everything. It brings everything down. It opens up another outlook. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful that it crossed my paths. And I've tried so many different systems, and this system is the only thing that is equal to being in an office and doing it, So I'm thankful. I'm thankful that that I learned about you.
Good. I am too. Does anybody else want to speak to that, by the way? Does that resonate?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about, okay, may I talk? Okay.
Please.
I forgot about my stomach, upset constantly. It's gone. And also my muscles, my shoulder were hurting constantly. It's not anymore. I start having the change of my body after 5 training sessions. That was the first thing that I noticed. My stress took longer to be fixed, but my body got away. So that's my experience. Physically.
Yeah.
That's it.
Anybody else have any thoughts about what Dora or Nikki were saying there about perspective and?
Yeah, it's definitely helped us. I think, yeah, I used to blow every little tiny thing out of proportion and get so angry at my kids, and nothing's their fault. They're just kids. And that was another reason that I really wanted to do neurofeedback, and I wanted them to do it. And so, yeah, definitely everything is not as big of a deal anymore. It's normal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the concept of acceptance in a Buddhist kind of sense, almost, it just sort of opens up, just opens everything up, right? The little things don't get you, and you can be open to new ideas and that kind of thing. Different options, right? Instead of freaking out at the kids or whatever. Yeah. So Carol, why don't you weigh in? Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your experience with neurofeedback.
Well, I was on the hunt for a neurofeedback way to go about therapy, and I found a place, but it was like 3 hours away, and they were talking about, the mapping like Nikki was talking about, and it was just too far and too many, and they wanted 2 sessions a week, and so I couldn't afford to get away from my business that many times and that long. So I began researching online, and I found your NeuroOptimal, and I thought, well, it's way less expensive, and so I rented it, and right away I felt a lot of calm. I was a lot more calmer and not as worried. I've had a really high worry level. I was worried a lot, and yeah, like that little boy said, what if machine. I was kind of like that, and so yeah, this really helped me calm that down so I could actually deal with, what is everyday things. It was so high that I couldn't even I could go to work and perform there, but as far as just everyday things, it was becoming really hard. So I was really highly reactive to especially children or crowds or groups. I couldn't hardly participate in groups. I was really forgetful, and you don't know how all this came about. I mean, I had a concussion 5 years ago, but I don't know if what built up to this. I don't know, but the forgetfulness was really a pain, and so because I had to remember things about my clients that I was forgetting, and well, what are you here for? Because I couldn't remember. So that's kind of what it helped me with. The perspective changes. I began to see things a lot differently, and I began to remember things about my clients, and I was able to tackle some really old financial debt step by step, and started working that out. And little things like cleaning the stove. I know that sounds silly, but I tackled that. And I was finding myself doing this without even thinking about it. So anyway, I know it sounds like small things, but it's huge when you're in constant worry mode, or what if, or like, forgetful, or anyway. That's kind of, and I only had 12 sessions of it, so.
Say again, Carol, I'm sorry.
I only had 12 sessions of it. That's my budget right now, but soon.
Yeah, the things you're describing, I think all of us here have experienced. They might be a little, but death by paper cut is painful.
Yeah,
so, when that goes away, it's freedom.
Yes, it's very freeing.
So a few of you have mentioned the cost part. I want to speak to that a little bit, and maybe actually get some of your experiences. So neurofeedback isn't cheap, no matter how you do it. This is a more cost-effective or less expensive way to do it, for sure, with the rentals, being able to do it at home, that kind of thing. But I guess I'm curious, if you guys tried other things. I know some of you did linear neurofeedback, but I guess part of what I'm getting at is there are a lot of gimmicks that are out there. Did any of you have an experience with the less or the cheaper things? Yeah, Nikki, you did?
I did. The company that I had gone to in Colorado in January, they were looking for something to give me to take home, something that, would help. And their system is there. It was, is anybody familiar with Muse?
Mm-hmm.
So, I had done Muse. A friend had told me about it, to help you learn how to meditate. So basically quieting your mind. And it is a great concept. The problem with Muse is it does not work if you have Botox in your forehead. And so it doesn't, that sensor is completely doesn't work any longer.
Okay.
So I found that really interesting. So that was the system that they sent me, and they charged me $500 a month for this system. And they connected it to was interesting, but all this app ever did, I would do 3 10-minute sessions a day, and all it ever did was just give me this horrible headache. And we went back and forth, on it, and I basically just sent it back. And then I've done brainwaves. I've done the different tones, the different sounds, I've wasted a lot of time and a lot of money. And that's why I go back to yours. I mean, when I was in Colorado in person, I had, 15 days of a hotel room, a rental car, $800 for the brain mapping, $110 per session. And I did 2 sessions per day for 10 days. So your system is equal to what I did there.
For a lot less.
Is a lot less. So I am super, super thankful.
Good.
So
yeah, I want to speak to Muse a little bit too. It's it can be very helpful for some people, but the way we think about it now, it's kind of like comparing a kazoo to the Philharmonic Orchestra. It really targets one thing in your brain, as my understanding. And if you don't need that, then it's either going to give you a headache or some other symptom, or not going to help. So Neuroptimal really works with the whole system here. Anyway, I also wanted to throw something out there. Nikki, you said you can't travel with it. I don't know if that's because of how you're traveling or if you're too busy while you travel, but I do travel with my system all the time. So people can travel with it. I just want to throw that out there. It's very, very portable. Did anybody else travel with theirs? I can't remember. Was everybody home? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, any final thoughts anybody has? Anything you want to say? Oh, you know what I did want to check in on quickly is what kind of difficulties did you have or frustrations? Was it hard to learn? We get frequent complaints, relatively frequent, about the paste. It's very sticky. How did you guys do with that stuff?
We hate the paste. But other than that, I mean, like I said, just finding those spots. But once I got, like, even my older son, he's like, oh, mom's got it on lockdown now. Like, you finally just get it. But yeah, that paste is
it's very sticky, yes. You do get used to it, I will say. I don't mind the paste at all anymore because it's just whoop, 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 put it up. But I've been doing it for quite a while now. So yeah. Anybody else?
I was so positive when I got it. So whatever obstacle was not an obstacle.
Okay.
So my kids always are like, okay, let's do it. Okay, that doesn't matter. So we are in that kind of mood. So for us, whatever that we need to turn it on again, like a new system or learn, was nothing that we can't handle.
Yeah.
So we never call you because of that.
You what?
We never call you because
No.
we have a problem with the system or, so we figured out everything by ourselves. We are happy with it.
Good. Anybody else? Any final thoughts from anybody?
I just want to add something for the cost, about the cost.
Yes.
For me, the cost is nothing in compare for what we receive and see the happiness of my son. I was not aware of how bad he was feeling. And I compare with what my sister spent with the linear system, where she needs to have the brain map done before we start, and then another person come in and target and do all for her, and too much time consuming to go and come to the appointments, making appointments. And my sister couldn't believe at the beginning that it gonna, because everything was so easy. And so the linear system for me was not an option, because I can't set appointments and blah, blah, blah. So I think that NeuroOptimal is a blessing, and the price is nothing in compare for what you receive.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think everybody else does too. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for being a part of this. I look forward to working with you in the future, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.